We're glad to welcome all new volunteers to BARC Animal Shelter and Adoptions. Come on in and we'll show you around. Over the last few years, BARC has really transformed into an awesome animal shelter for the city of Houston. Our vision is to be the nationally recognized model for excellence in animal care and placement, where city governments throughout the United States see BARC as a beacon of best practices dedicated to humane, efficient, and high-quality service. Our mission is to promote humane animal care and protect the public health and safety in the city of Houston, including shelter, pet placement, ownership, education, and enforcement. Critical to our mission is excellence in everything we do. BARC is the municipal animal shelter of Houston, Texas, and as such, we are governed by city ordinances, which means that the city council decides what we do and do not do. One thing they say we have to do is take in every animal brought to us. During the summer, that can be up to 150 animals every day. So what do we do with all of these animals pouring in our doors? Well, first and foremost, we're going to look for adoptions. These are permanent homes where our animals can live forever. But if permanent's too long, you could be a good foster. Fosters temporarily care for our animals who have medical or behavioral issues. And we also partner with 150 rescue groups and transfer animals to them for free. But of course, if no one else will take it, then euthanasia is our final option and is always considered a last resort here at BARC. With adoptions being our first and best option, we put together the best package you could ever want as an adopter. Every adoption comes with about $350 worth of veterinary work, including vet checkup, spay-neuter surgery, pre-adoption vaccinations, deworming, heartworm testing, FIV, FLV testing, rabies vaccination, city license, identification microchip, and 6 weeks of behavior training classes. It's amazing because you get this all for $75 for a puppy, $50 for a dog, $35 for a kitten, and only $20 for a cat. That's an absolutely fantastic deal. But why did BARC begin in the first place? Well, let's go back to the founding of Houston, back when we were oil, the Rice Hotel, and Howard Hughes. BARC was commissioned in 1942 to stop the spread of rabies. Rabies is a zoonotic disease that attacks the central nervous system of mammals, and it's been around since at least 2000 BC when humans were first writing about it. It's probably the motivation for most of your vampire, werewolf, or zombie stories, because this is the virus where you turn like a vampire. Except for with this one, you don't sparkle. Rabies enters the tissue through the saliva of a biting animal. It replicates near the bite and then travels up the peripheral nervous system to the central nervous system in your spinal cord. It ascends your spinal cord until it reaches your brain, causing fatal encephalitis, that's brain swelling, and you die. And what's even better than that is that you get to pass this on through your saliva to another animal or person. Once rabies enters your brain, there's no stopping it. All mammals die within 10 days. Scary stuff, so how do we get rid of this? Well, there are post-exposure vaccines that your doctor can give you if you are bit by an animal you think may have rabies. But even better yet, we discovered a vaccine that works on all domestic animals, including cows, horses, dogs, cats, all those creatures that might possibly give you rabies, and now they're safe. That means you're safe. This is also when you start to see city licenses for pets showing that they don't have rabies, but it also helps in another way. It helps you get your pet home. If one of our officers picks up your animal, we will return it to you if you have a city license. Having your pet returned to you immediately is an awesome thing about a license, because even though we clean like crazy here, we have 550 animals that we treat every day. It's best if your pet avoids mingling with 550 other playmates. Speaking of our officers, our animal control officers are out there for your safety as well as the animal safety. They are there to ensure there's no negative interaction between humans and animals, such as Small kids being chased by a large dog on a schoolyard, or a large dog being chased by small kids on a schoolyard. They are very busy and receive an average of 120,000 calls per year. BARC is one of the top municipal animal shelters in the fight against cruelty. We ensure that every animal is represented by doing a full vet workup and sending an officer to court to testify on behalf of the animal, even though we are limited on space and time, and for such, we've been commended by the District Attorney's Office in several law journals. Now let's transition into getting animals adopted. We do a lot of adoptions at BARC and in the community, but why do people adopt? Is it because it's trendy to adopt a shelter dog? Yeah. But that's not the real reason. People would adopt anywhere. Across the nation, the top 2 reasons that adopters give for adopting their pet is interaction with the pet, like it loves their family, it had that twinkle, it talks to them, and then interaction with the people at the shelter. So that's interaction with volunteers like yourself. In both those things, you can actively help. Interacting with the pet makes it more interactive with adopters. And interacting with the people, just saying hello, is guaranteed an adoption. So let's recap. We license dogs and cats, we vaccinate stray animals against rabies, we run a large adoption program that you're going to help with, we shelter and care for 550 stray animals, we enforce animal ordinances and educate the public. Woo-wee! We're busy down here, so let's take a moment to think about that. So as you can see, we're quite a busy place, but let me take you on a tour of our shelter. First, we'll travel from the front lobby down the hallway and head over to the dog adoption building. This is where we house about 250 dogs for adoption. We've got lots of dogs for adoption, and one thing you'll notice on the side of their kennel is a kennel card holder. This is Stacy's kennel card. It has everything we know about Stacy on it, including her animal ID number, which is a very important, unique identifier just for her. You need to make sure that you use it anytime you have any questions about an animal, because that number is specific to them, even if there's a bunch of snowflakes, definitely a bunch of Fidos, and probably some Rovers here at the shelter. The next important number is the kennel number. This is where Stacy lives. It's South A26. South is the dog adoption building, which is our southernmost building, and that's what fits in the computer, so we use South. And A is the first room. There's A, B, C, and D. And then she's in the 26th kennel. So she lives in South A26. So anytime you move Stacy, you need to make sure you have a copy of her kennel card in your pocket, so that way you can remember that she belongs in South A26 and you can get her home every time. Here you'll see a great picture of Stacy that's taken by one of our volunteers, so please make sure that you sign up to help us take better pictures. Next you'll see her description, which includes her age. She's 2 years old, which means she can run around outside and be just fine because her immune system is built up. But if she was under 6 months of age, you would not want to walk her outside where the other dogs have been playing, because she could catch parvo or distemper, which are puppy killers. So make sure that you check the age before you walk any animal. All of our animals are vaccinated against common things like distemper and parvo, but under 6 months of age, you still want to be on the safe side and not walk them. You can also see that she was brought in as a stray, which means that we're going to hold on to her for 3 days. She was brought in on the 18th, but only made available on the 22nd. That's what we call stray weight, which allows for owners to redeem her before we adopt her out to a new family. You can also see information on her surgery and other important information. So you can tell that this is a very important document to have on you. So make sure anytime you're working with an animal, you have a copy of the kennel card in your pocket. That way you can answer adopters' questions, and if, in the unfortunate case you get bit or it runs away, you know who ran away. Okay, and now moving on to the puppy nursery, where we house all of the little babies 3 months and younger. As we said, you can't take out puppies that are under 6 months of age, so you can bet that these puppies under 3 months of age are very susceptible to germs. So we keep them behind glass, just like when you were in the nursery in the hospital. As a nursery volunteer, you're going to be a hand washing master. You got to make sure that you wash your hands, the adopters wash their hands, and that you put that puppy down on fresh newspaper every time to make sure that you don't spread germs between big dogs and the puppies, but also between the puppies and other puppies. Make sure that they're always clean and they're always touching clean hands and clean newspaper. Also, bring a bottle of Dawn detergent and you can bathe the puppies because they definitely need it when they're rolling around in their own feces. But they're very cute, as you can see. All dogs get walked outside for about 10 to 15 minutes every day with your help. But of course, there's about 250 dogs, so we definitely need your help to make that possible. As you can see, we have lots of cool dog runs outside. Big thing to note is that in each dog run there is water and shade. Make sure there's always water available, and there's a hose next to the dog runs that you'll see. You'll also see that there's those kennel card holders on each cage, so make sure that you put a copy of the kennel card that you have in your pocket in the holder so that everyone else can see the information on the animal. Here's another pass by the dog runs. Notice the outside gate. Make sure you close that before you open the inside gate so you're not chasing dogs all day. Plus, also make sure that you pick up the poop behind you so that we're not all stepping on landmines. It'll keep us clean for everybody. Having finished with the dogs, we're headed back through the dome, past where we started in the front lobby, and over to the cat castle. And we'll check out all the cats. We got about 150 in the house. While we're walking to the cat castle, let's take. We're open every day to the public from 12 until 5:30, except for on Mondays and Thursdays when we're doing deep cleaning. However, as a volunteer, you have jobs to do every day of the week, and they range from 8 till about 5:30 p.m. The main thing is you got to sign up for every job that you want to do, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So here we go on the walkway towards the cat castle. We house up to about 150 cats here in the cat castle. You'll notice how clean it is inside, just like it was over in the dog adoption building, except for this one doesn't have drains, so we need a lot of help. We have both free roaming rooms like this guy here on the floor, and we also have some in the cages like you see here in the banks. If they're in the small cages like these, you need to take them outside into. So we've seen all the buildings at BARC. Now let's talk a bit more about the volunteer program. Who can volunteer at BARC? Everyone can! This makes us a little different than most animal shelters where 18 is the minimum age. We allow younger volunteers as long as they're accompanied by their parent or guardian. So let's talk about the first major requirement for volunteers if it's not age. So what makes a good volunteer? Well, there's lots of things, of course. Willing to work, being a good team player with other volunteers, does a good job while they're here, they're dependable, they're trustworthy, and they're good with animals, of course, etc., etc., etc. But what really counts? How do we know you're going to do all those things? Well, one thing is important. You got to love animals. We know if you love animals that you'll do a great job, you'll work well with the team, and everything will go smoothly. That also means that we do not take any court-appointed volunteers. Okay, if you love animals and you're here for yourself, that's great, but if the judge loves animals and is sending you here, then that doesn't work for us. All volunteers need to sign up for their own volunteer account, and they can do so on HoustonBark.com, our website. You go to the volunteer page and you'll click on the big button marked "Click here to be a BARC volunteer." When you create your account, you'll see something like this homepage right here, and that gives you all the information about what we're doing at BARC. You'll also have the opportunity to sign up if you click on the tab above. And from the sign up page, you're going to see a lot of different options come up available. You'll see a bunch of activities listed. Click on the name of the activity you'd like to look at. From here, you'll see instructions about the activity, including key responsibilities, qualifications, location, as well as instructions to begin. Pay close attention to the instructions to begin because this includes who your point of contact is at BARC for this activity. Once you've found the activity that you want to do, go ahead and scroll down until you see the dates and times of all the different shifts. Click on the ones that fit your schedule and click Save. That will add them to your assignments page. It will ask you to confirm. This is built for a system where I might assign you to an activity and then you confirm later. But since we here at BARC believe that you should create your own schedule to fit your own needs, we do not ask that you confirm. And we're going to actually say don't confirm, because if you don't confirm, you'll have the option to decline the assignment later on your assignments page if you can't make it for any reason. So now that you've added a few things to your assignments page, let's go ahead and check that out. You'll see the tab at the top, and it'll take you to the assignments page where you'll see a list of all the things you've signed up for. One thing I would really note is click on the email me a weekly schedule reminder. This is going to help you keep up with all the things you've signed up for. You can also click on the little calendar logo next to each assignment to add it to your Google Calendar or your phone calendar, wherever you need to keep that. And here, like we said, is the decline button, which allows you to remove the activity from your schedule without having to notify the volunteer coordinator with any sort of excuse you might have, if it's the 5th time your grandmother's died or whatever. And then at the bottom you'll notice there's an export report. You click on that and it'll give you a little printout that you can put on the fridge if you have to carpool with others. Next you'll see the hours log tab. It's very important for us to track what you're doing and make sure we give you credit, but also give the shelter credit, because this is how we get better funding from the government, but also from private institutions like Shell or BP. Okay, so it should have the activity that you last signed up for ready to go, but if it doesn't, click on all active activities. Please do not click on all inactive activities, as those are old activities that we no longer track. You'll select the date that you volunteered, as well as the total hours and minutes if you have any extra minutes in there. Then go ahead and click save. One thing I would suggest that you do though is post it to your Facebook, because it really provides an awesome opportunity for you to represent BARC to your fellow community and also show off what you're doing, because it's really quite cool. So here's one on my Facebook. The remaining tabs include contacts, which have the coordinator's information. You can always email them any question you want. The reports, which is great for those of you who are going to school and want to show your service hours, or if you want to show them to your work, because that's awesome, and I know most bosses are looking for that. And the last tab is your profile, which you need to update with all of your contact information, especially a good solid cell phone number and an email address. Most of the correspondence you'll receive is via email, but occasionally if we're at an event or something where we need to give you immediate information, we're going to call you, say an emergency or such. When you go to sign up, you'll notice there's lots of activities for you to do, including dog walking, cat castle assistance, surgery assistance, adoptions at BARC, adoption hosting, special events if for those of you who like to throw parties, offsite adoption events for those of you who like to go out there and represent BARC in the community, foster homes, foster pantry organizers, facility beautification and construction, as well as administrative help. Lots of different things for you guys to help out with, so definitely check them out. Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about is aggression, because we want to make sure that you're safe while you're here at BARC. Your safety is your responsibility anytime you're at BARC. So let's talk about how you can make sure that you're always safe. Here we see a relaxed dog with ears up, not forward, head high, mouth open slightly, tongue exposed, loose stance, flat on feet, and tail down and relaxed. This is a good dog, and this will be good for you to handle. Here we see an alert dog with the ears forward, kind of twitching to catch the sound, eyes wide, smooth nose and forehead, mouth closed, slightly leaning forward, tail is probably moving side to side, but it's horizontal and it's not stiff or bristled. This is okay to handle too. Next we see a very dominant position where the tail is raised and bristled. The ears are still forward, but the forehead shows wrinkles, the nose is wrinkled, the lips are curled, teeth are starting to show, and dogs don't smile with their teeth. Mouth's open slightly, stiff-legged, tail stiff, everything's hackles are raised. Definitely not a good dog for you to handle. Okay, main thing you're looking for is submission, and this guy is looking very dominant, trying to push you down. You do not want this. If you encountered this dog and you had to move him for some reason or another, you would want to get the assistance of an animal care technician. This is what an animal care technician looks like. This is Juan. He's the greatest guy you'll ever meet. And animal care technicians are responsible for the care of the animal inside their ward. and that includes feeding, cleaning, and any sort of handling of the animal. So if you don't feel comfortable with an animal, or if it's showing any sort of behavior like that, you need to make sure you talk to the animal care technician, because they're going to be the ones in charge of you. Okay? Next, we have a picture of a fearful dog, and notice that the ears are back this time. Pupils are dilated, nose is wrinkled, lips are slightly curled, teeth might be coming out. Corner of the mouth is pulled back. Hackles are raised, body's lowered, tail's tucked under, looking very timid. Do not handle this guy. Next one you're going to see is stressed. Okay, the ears are back, the pupils are dilated, we're sweating out through the paws, probably rapid breathing, body's lowered, tail's down. It's stressed out, so please do not add to its stress. This is not okay to handle. This next one is fearful or worried. The ears are back, the forehead's smooth. You still have eye contact, and it licks the face of a dominant dog or looking at you. This one is kind of in the middle of it, right? The tail's down, the body's lowered, but you could probably handle this one a little bit if you're careful. Okay, here you got extreme fear and submission, where they're laying on their back, exposing their private parts, except for their tails probably tucked over that as much as they can. They've wet themselves a little bit. They're avoiding eye contact. They're partially, closing their eyes, just trying to pretend like the situation's not happening. This is not okay to handle, because these guys are really stressed out. You just leave them alone, okay? Main thing is that the ACTs are going to be feeding them constantly, regularly, and they're going to get the same person every day, so therefore it'll take down their stress. We don't want to add any more to that. Alright, the next one's playful and ready to go outside. Tail's up and wagging, ears are up, mouth's open, maybe tongue's hanging out. The front paws get lowered because it's ready to play. This dog might jump up on you, but for the most part, it's good to go. Dog walking is a team effort, so if you don't feel safe, don't do it. Your safety is your responsibility. There are 250 dogs to walk, so only walk the ones you feel comfortable with. Here you'll see I use a kennel rope. Go ahead and cinch that down, and we go ahead and find the dog that we're looking for. And just like we talked about before, we've got that kennel card. We take a copy of that out because it has all the information you need. Fold it up, put it inside your pocket. You're ready to go. And then you're going to use the little red kennel card that says, "Hey, I've been walked today," and you're going to make sure that that's placed inside the holder up there. And then you're going to be ready to take out the animal. As you can see, I put my foot down in case that animal should knock me over. That helps me brace the door before I put the leash on it. And then I'm ready to rock. You can walk them around campus on the leash, or you can take them to the dog runs that we showed you before and let them off leash. All the times you're at BARC, you need to make sure you're wearing the appropriate clothing for your safety, such as you'll see here with two of our volunteers with the Texans cheerleaders. They're wearing jeans, their BARC shirt, and a hat for safety. Long pants are required because that's going to knock out most of the scratches on your legs from any sort of animal that's just happy to see you. To protect your upper body, you're going to not allow dogs to jump on you. This is good for both you and the dog. Main thing is it keeps your arms and your face safe, but all at the same time, it makes sure that this dog is adoptable by teaching him proper etiquette so he's not jumping all over adopters and seeming like too much energy. Moving over to cat behavior, we want to talk about ways to avoid any sort of negative stuff like what you see right here. Okay, so here you got a great chart of cat behavior. Number one's going to be relaxed, where they're just either laying down, cleaning themselves, just enjoying life. They're probably closing their eyes, which is a way that they can say that they love you, and this is okay. Next, you'll see alert. Alert's going to be where they're attentive, they're more interested in you, they're excited about it, and their eyes are going to be wide open. They might even be a little bit dilated depending on what's going on, but they're interested in playing with you, and that's okay too. Next, you get into tense. Tense, they're not really quite sure about you. They're kind of trying to figure it out. They're looking at you very attentively, and the eyes are definitely dilated. They kind of tuck their body a little bit. You'll see they assume a little more of a protective posture, as you see there in the middle, and the ears might flatten down a little bit too. Then you get anxious. This is when the ears flatten, definitely. They look perturbed. They're trying to move away from you. they're very concerned. You get a very how do I say it, tense feeling. And then of course then you move into fearful. This is when they definitely don't want to be around you. They're put out, they're trying to avoid you at all costs, and the eyes are dilated, the ears are flat, the body's tucked, the tail's tucked. They look pretty pitiful right before they get into terrified. And terrified is what you see in all those other pictures, where they're hissing, the ears are flat, the eyes are dilated, they look angry and pissed off. Their hair's pushed all up, their tail's fluffed, they've been backed into a corner. Definitely don't want to handle that. Just like the dogs jumping on us, there's certain behaviors we want to avoid to keep ourselves safe from being bitten or scratched. When you pet a cat a lot, and what we call overstimulation, to where you're petting it so much that it just thinks you're the most awesome thing in the whole wide world, it flips over, grabs your finger, and does what? Yeah, it bites it. So we're going to avoid that by changing how we stimulate the cats. We're going to pet them a little bit, and then we're going to switch to playing with them for a little bit. Then we're going to switch back to petting them and then playing with them. That way it changes it up, and they don't ever get to the point where they just got to bite you. The other thing is that you don't want to play with your hands as the target. Bring lots of toys to play with the kitties. Okay, so we've covered the basics on animal behavior. Make sure that you feel comfortable before you handle an animal. If you do not feel comfortable, it's okay not to handle it. We have a great trained staff that will take care of all of the animals. Also, be sure to follow all instructions given to you by staff members. Juan here and other ACTs are going to be giving you important data that's going to keep you safe and happy, and it's going to be an awesome time when you're here at BARC, and we're so glad to have you here. Okay, let's recap. Create a BARC volunteer account at houstonbark.com. You're going to use that volunteer account to sign up for activities at least by 5 p.m. the day before. Wear long pants and closed-toed shoes for safety at all times, and get a badge from the volunteer coordinator. After 16 hours of service, ask the volunteer coordinator for a t-shirt of your own, just like these guys. And after 100 hours of service, you'll be recognized at the Volunteer Appreciation Dinner with a Sweat and Blister Award and a BARC Polo. We're so happy to have you on the team, and we look forward to seeing you at BARC soon.